Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 9:53 a.m. Our final interview of the morning is with Brother Achmat Salie. He's in the Western Cape, and he is with an organization called Doors of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam, Sister Julie. Thank you to yourself for having me on this morning and to Salam Media as well.
Alhamdulillah. Before we even talk about the atrocities being meted out on the innocent people of Gaza, we are going to be talking about the hospital that has been bombed. Let's understand who is um, Doors of Jannah. What is your purpose, your mission, and how active are you in the community?
Okay, Doors of Jannah was busy since 2015, informally set up to just work within the communities and uplift people. In 2018, we were formally registered as a non-profit company. And again, the initial work started with upliftment of communities in all its various forms, as well as our primary work was always going to be in education, because ultimately the education was the way that we would see that people would no longer be able to exit out of the cycle of poverty. So that is just in a nutshell, locally what we do. Internationally, we've had relationships with Palestine way before the genocide started in October, and I can speak about that during the interview as well.
Okay, and I should like to think that Doors of Jannah is very, very active in the Western Cape, and you're growing by leaps and bounds with every passing day. Lots of support, obviously, from local people who can continue the upliftment work, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. Yes.
Okay, so
Uh,
you say you've been involved, or your Doors of Jannah has been involved with Palestine way before the genocide. What sort of work were you doing back then? And I should imagine the nature of your work has changed since the genocide or
yes.
the Holocaust, whichever terminology you believe is fit to use in this instance.
Yeah. The work that we were primarily involved with Palestine was number two, we want to establish relationships firstly via sports, right? And we try to have that relationship with being part of sending teams either to Palestine or having them play here in South Africa. That was the one part of it. The second part was absolutely education again. In Palestine, the people don't have many work opportunities, but an amazing thing that they've established in Palestine is that students will go to schools and school students will attend universities, irrespective of whether they can afford the fees or not. So ultimately, it is only at the point that they've completed their studies at universities that they are actually asked to provide the payment for their fees. And in that regard, we got involved with Palestine and tried and assisted in terms of providing bursaries for the students of Palestine. As you know, it is per capita or per person in any particular area. Palestine has got the highest ratio of qualified and educated individuals from their universities.
Alhamdulillah. And we do know that currently, perhaps that is not an option for you now, but undoubtedly, you are doing all sorts of aid work as much as you possibly can, given that the borders have been closed off. Aid is not being allowed into Gaza and Palestine, but your efforts will continue. But another very, very worrying story has hit the headlines today, and that is that the Israeli army has bombed Gaza City's last fully functional hospital. And sadly, that is the al-Ahli al-Arabi Baptist Hospital, which meant that people that were sleeping, patients that were sleeping inside and outside of the hospital, and further worsening an already critical lack of medical facilities in the enclave. This once again highlights the brutality and the inhumanity of the genocidal apartheid regime, whilst the rest of the world looks on.
Yeah, absolutely, Sister Julie. It is heartbreaking. And I've cried a million tears, but I've decided it's no longer any use to cry. It is time to act and to respond, and we've got to do everything we possibly can. But let me first start by saying that we completely condemn the massacring and butchering and killing of innocent civilians, and also the destruction of infrastructure. And we've got to name the chief protagonist as being the USA, because they enabling the implementer, the Zionist Israel, to do all these heinous crimes. It's war crimes by any definition. But at this stage, with all the impunity that's been granted to the Zionist state, I always ask myself, who is listening? Who is listening? You know, the bombing of the hospitals, it's not an isolated incident. It is part of a campaign that the Zionist state is waging on the innocent the civilians of Gaza in order to get them they're trying to get them to willingly say that they would like to leave Palestine. Unfortunately, or well, I say fortunately for ourselves, the Palestinians are made of much sterner stuff than having fear instilled in them. They understand. They have the complete understanding of the world is just a temporary abode, and the year after is what we are looking forward to. They have no impact. There is no impact on them on the beauty and and deceptions of the world. So for them, they have decided that they will stay in Palestine, which means that if Israel or the USA or anybody else wants to remove them from Gaza, they're going to have to kill them. There's going to be no time for displacement. It's either they're going to have to kill them. Now, in any world, even by the amount of power that the USA has or its enablers, and the Israeli is for enforcing on Gaza, they will not even be able to get away with killing 2 million people. You see, so this, despite this being their strategy, we can just say, and I mean, everybody has learned so much from this particular genocide, that it is an honor and a privilege for us who are able to work with our brothers and sisters and provide the necessary relief that they need to have, because ultimately they're feeding back to us. If they don't have water, if they don't have bread, if they don't have whatever they need, then it is going to get to that point where they will be forced to remove themselves, because otherwise they will starve of hunger. So we in that fortunate position that we're not standing at the borders and trying to help. We've been able to establish relationships with the people of Gaza, and the people are working up and down throughout Gaza to provide this assistance that we are able to provide to them. Yes, it is very expensive, Sister Judy, but it is our responsibility and it is our manner to enable them to be able to resist. You know,
So
this,
I want to ask you an all important question. Undoubtedly, you
sure,
are a father. I am a mother
sure,
as well. And I'm kind of wondering about those parents who have lost their children in this genocide. We've seen pictures of mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters carrying their dead siblings, trying to find a decent place of burial for them.
sure. I
I
mean,
can't I can't even begin to visualize. I can't
yes,
even watch those visuals. But as a
yeah,
mother, I can't even go down that road. I can't even apply thinking to something like that. How do you feel about all of that? And those mothers and fathers who are bearing their young children, their future, the future generations of Palestine.
again, thanks for that question, Sister Julie. Let us just clearly say, and this comes from the people in Gaza, is that not one family is not touched by the genocide of what is happening in Gaza. It is horrific. I mean, imagine having to carry portions of your child. I mean, the other day I read that the hospitals are now identifying the people, when they're getting bombed. I mean, because these bombs are of such a vicious nature, it just obliterates the people. So on the place on the cloths that they are buried in, on the shrouds, they've started not writing people's names. They say yellow blouse, red blouse, pink blouse. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine as a parent having to carry pieces of your child to the hospital so that it can be buried? I mean, this is absolutely disgusting. In my opinion, I've never ever thought that I've experienced something like this in my entire life. What is even more disgusting, Sister Julie, is how the world has allowed this particular genocide to happen in front of their eyes before they could have argued, we didn't know. There was no social media. Social media has brought it into our living rooms. You cannot say you don't know. You cannot say, I cannot support. You cannot say, I cannot say something. Yes, you can say, maybe I can't go and physically fight. But at the moment, up to now, I don't think every one of our people are aware, or at least showing the willingness to be aware, such that when a big march is called for or a big demonstration is called for, we have 500,000 or a million people on the road. Why is that? Is it the responsibility of ourselves that we haven't done the job properly in educating the masses? Or is it people's malaise and just carrying on with their normal lives as if things are okay for them? But as far as the parents are concerned, Ya Allah, have you ever seen a person losing 7 children in one bombing, and then that person leads the Janazah Salah? Ya Allah, what kind of people are the Palestinians? Resilient, and they will never be defeated, and we will never leave them alone until freedom comes to Palestine.
I guess the question to ask is, what kind of people are the apartheid Israelis and the rest of the Western world that they're closing their eyes and ignoring the situation as it's playing out, this genocide, this Holocaust playing out on innocent men, women, and especially children?
Ya Allah. I don't even define those people as human beings anymore, to be honest with you, Sister Julie. I think they are the subhuman animals. Um, for them to be able to see and witness and perpetrate and actually allow daily killing of children, women, and men, and being able to laugh about it or ignore it and saying it's okay and still justifying it in front of the world. What complete, utter idiots, animals, Zionist aggressors they are. There is no nice way to deal with them. People think that we can still communicate and negotiate with them. They've clearly set out their store. 18 months, almost 2 years, and they actually just increase the amount of attacking and killing they're doing. What are we dealing with over here? Where is the world? It is time for us, perhaps, as normal as civilians, to stand up. I mean, the world has already started. The movement to move to Gaza and to stop that siege. I mean, at the moment, they're in the middle of Ramadan. They closed the borders and no aid was allowed in. And unless you thought outside the box, you would also just stood on the boundary or outside the gates. We need to move beyond that and to make sure that we can help our sisters and brothers survive. But the perpetrators, Ya Allah, Jahannam and the worst parts of it, that's all that I can say for them.
And sad to say, that orange man with the candy floss hair from America is suggesting that they will raise Gaza to the ground and make it into a top real estate paradise for the richest of the rich and turn it into a Riviera. You
Mm,
kind of wonder at the carelessness of this white imperialist who's only money and power hungry. He thinks he's a demigod. He thinks he's never going to
100%.
die. He thinks he's going to live on forever. And you kind of wonder at his very warped thinking. That's the
Yeah,
one part of the story. And then on the other hand, where are our Muslim leaders in the rest of the Middle East? Why are
yeah,
they silent? on this situation?
As you have said, Sister Julie, and very rightly so, the people or the leaders, let's not even call them leaders, let's just call them they in charge of those areas around the Middle East, as well as what you call the candy floss man. In fact, his mother called him an idiot and said that if he should ever enter into politics, it is just going to cause a big mess. How right she was, how right and how well our mothers know us. But in any case, those Arab leaders around Gaza, they are all part of this genocide. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. If they had stood together with their Arab brothers and sisters or with the Palestinian brothers and sisters, there is no way that the Americans or Israel could do anything to Gaza. It is, it is going to be part of history that's going to be written that they were the enablers of genocide. Every day, Sister Julie, more and more information is coming out as to how they enabled this particular genocide, how they are celebrating the destruction of Gaza, how they are celebrating killing of our Palestinian brothers and sisters. It is high time for us now, when we've seen Allah Ta'ala has opened our eyes to see the real truth, whether it's about Dubai, whether it's about Jordan, whether it's about Egypt or Saudi Arabia, it is a high time that we understand what our role is towards those kingdoms. And we've got to call them out as much as we're calling out the USA and we're calling out the Zionists, because they are the actual perpetrators of this genocide, because they could have stopped it.
Let's
Anytime they
not
could have stopped it.
Let us not forget that all of those corrupt leaders have all cut deals with the United States and apartheid
100%.
Israel. Sad to say, money is king, money is God to a lot of people. That being said, I just want to read quite a number of messages that come through on our socials. I'd like to read one from Gulam, and what he is asking, and I'd like your response. Assalamu alaikum. We really have to ask ourselves why Muslims can't produce leadership, but many clerics. Your response.
um, let me be cautious in answering that question. The I think for a long time, Sister Julie, we haven't had reason to be very proactive in resolving problems. Currently, I mean, if we say that the genocide is going on for 2 years, and we're talking about having unity meetings almost now, I mean, that already speaks for itself. But what we've got to do is we've got to, as civilians, we've got to ask for a meeting with our ulama, and we've got to ask them to explain why it is that every Friday there is no mention of Gaza on the mimbars. We've got to ask them, why is there not a declaration of going to assist our brothers and sisters in Gaza physically? And if they can explain those things to us, then we say to ourselves, okay, we accept it. But if they maybe also just need a bit of a push and know that the people are behind them, it's easy just to scream and blame and say things, but let's form conciliatory partnerships, I say, because together we can do a lot more. And breaking down things, this is the ideal. This would be the ideal for the Zionists, that we break down relationships and we break down partnerships. I'm of the opinion that we rather build. I'm that kind of person, and I would welcome for us to sit around the table where you have your clergy and your ulama, because they can guide us on the Islamic rulings on these particular things. But at least then they hear our opinion, we hear their opinion, and then we come to a conclusion as to how we're going to move forward. The problem is, Sister Judy, is that there are many people doing things in isolation, and therefore we cannot get anywhere. I say again, people united will never be defeated. And let's work hard to achieve that, and rather build things than doing the blame game. That's my opinion on that particular question.
And let's wrap up by me making this comment that it has always been the Western imperialist agenda to divide and rule. And that's exactly what they've done in the Middle East. And our people, like I said, greed has lured them to take a position against the Palestinian people. We salute the Yemenis for taking a stance. They may probably not be a force to be reckoned with, but they're making an attempt, as small as that attempt is. And we need to, if we can't go directly to Palestine and help our brothers and sisters in Palestine, then let's channel our funds through to the Yemeni people and let
100%.
them then arm themselves suitably or as best they can to continue the fight against these genocidal apartheid regimes. And I'm going to leave it there. I have run out of time. I'll
Can I
give
make
you the
one more
last.
comment, Sister Julie?
You
Can
start
I
with
just make
the
one more,
last
just one
word.
more comment? Yes,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would just like to second what you have just said. I mean, the people from Gaza have made it clear that whoever comes to support them militarily, they will, even if they have differences with them on other issues, they said, we will gladly accept the help that you're providing us to battle and fight this war. So leave all the sectarian differences for now. That's what they are saying. It's the same that we've got to do on our side. Leave all our differences aside. Palestine is the issue, and let us focus and let us have complete understanding that that is what we need to get free, and then we deal with the rest. I just think the conclusion I want to say is, look, we are providing water to multiple communities. We are providing clothing, vegetable, bread. We've even built a mosque in Gaza, Sister Julie, and we've been able to provide financial assistance to wives of people who have martyred husbands. As those of Jannah, please, I don't know if you want to give my number and people get hold of us, if they're willing to contribute, I will explain how we are doing it. I will show them videos of our work. So there is no concern about is the money getting in, is the work being done. I've got proof of it, and we will show all those things to the people. And and our people from Gaza have asked me again last night, again this morning, let the people please understand the graveness of the situation. I mean, we can say, yes, we are proud of them, they are steadfast, but we need to help them be steadfast. Please direct your donations to us, because don't know if there's any other organization that working inside of Gaza currently as it is, and we've got multiple partners in it. So if you are willing, we can share our number, and then people can get hold of us, and we will show them with complete evidence how our work is getting done. Thank you very much, Sister Judy, to yourself and Salah Media for giving us the opportunity to express our views this morning, and we look forward to you welcoming us back for a further chat, inshallah.
I look forward to that. Just share that number with us. Let me also just remind our listeners that you are the co-founder and chairman of Doors of Jannah. Your name is Achmat Salie, and you are based in the Western Cape, doing work for a long, long time, not only in the Western Cape, certain areas of the Western Cape, but in Palestine itself. So give us that number as we bid you salam.
Okay, it's my personal number. You can WhatsApp me rather than just calling me. Otherwise, it's going to be hectic. It's 071
Zero.
332 1429. I'll repeat slowly. 071 332 1429. Doors of Jannah is also active across all the social media platforms, and as well as we have a website up and running, which people can consult if they want to have a look at the type of work that we do. Otherwise, just give me a WhatsApp, and we'll forward all the details to them, and I'll put them in contact also with our admin people, who they can then contact after myself, inshallah.
Okay, and that number is 071 332 1429. If you don't manage to get it down, please go to the socials of Doors of Jannah or call us here at Salam Media, and we will gladly pass on the number to you. Ahmed Salie, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, your
Ameen.
organization, all your committee members for the amazing work you're doing. Long may you
Ameen.
live to serve the people, not only in South Africa, but in
Ameen.
Palestine as well. Allah
Ameen,
accept all your
inshallah.
efforts.
Ameen.
Keep us in your
Ameen,
dua.
inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, and that's where we wrap up. And let me just remind you that Hafiz Imran Chunara, CEO of African Muslims Agency, will be coming up with the Fired Up series. And the subject today is: if you don't heal your past wounds, you will bleed on someone who didn't hurt you. Amazing topic. If you don't heal on your past wounds, you will bleed on someone who didn't hurt you. From Hafiz Imran Chunara, CEO of Africa Muslims Agency. That's me wrapping up for the morning till tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock on the mid-morning show. Take care on the road. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Ali.